Hello, now I'm here. Hi everybody, like every Monday, we're going to work on IGCSE questions to prepare our IGCSE exam, and we're going to work with some questions here that we can find. Let's go to the board to start with our questions. Okay, first question. We're going to calculate 1 minus 0.7 over 0.5 minus 0.38, giving your answer correct to 4 significant figures. So this is just computing. Remember to apply PEMDAS to solve this question. So you should perform the addition in the numerator, perform the addition in the denominator, and then divide both. So 1 minus 0.7, this is just to complete. 1 minus 0.7 is just 0.3 over 0.45 over 0.38. It's going to be just from 48, this is 0.0 from 38 to 45 is 5 and 2, 7. Correct? So I just subtract. From 38 to 45, we have 7 units, so 0.45 minus 0.38 is 0.07. And this could be written just as, I can multiply by 10 to move the decimal place, and then multiply by 100 to move the decimal place one more. So I got 30 over 7. So this is our answer as an exact answer, and we just need now to round to 4 significant figures. Remember that in significant figures, if the 0 is in between the numbers, is going to be significant, and the zeros that are after decimals are going to be significant as well. So we're going to just divide. Use the strategy you like to divide. I'm going to use the usual strategy of division. 30, 28, so it's going to be 4. 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to get 2. Now I got 20. 20 divided 7 is 2. 2 times 7 is 14. I got 6 left. I forgot to put the decimal point here. 4.6, so I'm going to get 60. 60 and 7 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. So I'm going to subtract. I'm going to get 4. And this is going to be 40. 1740 is 5. 5 times 7, 35. So I'm gonna get 5. This is 50. And this is going to be 7, 49. I'm going to continue because it says 4 significant figures. So how many significant figures I have so far? I have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here. So I gotta correct it until this decimal place, as the next decimal place is 7. So our answer is just 4.286. That's the number corrected to 4 significant figures with your process. Let's see another exercise. By writing each number in the calculation correct to 1 significant figure, find an estimate for the value of. So in this kind of exercises, it's telling you that you have to correct your numbers to 1 significant figure to find the estimation. So what you need to do is to correct to 1 significant figure. So I'm going to do here a brief table showing you how you can do the how you can correct each number that you can see here to 1 significant figure. So you have, for example, 27. 27 corrected to 1 significant figure. The significant figure is here. So the first, so I need to correct it to the 10th position. So my number corrected is going to be 20. 2.3. 2.3. If I want to correct it to 1 significant figure, it's going to be here in the ones place. So we're gonna get the correction as 2. 845.4 corrected to 1 significant figure is going to be 845.4. So I'm going to here, the next is a 4, so it's going to be 800, and finally 0.048. This is one of the numbers people make out mistakes. 0.048 corrected to one significant figure. Remember that zeros to the left of a decimal number, they are not significant. So these two zeros are not significant. You shouldn't count it as significant figures. The first significant figure is 4. So you should write this number as 0.05. Okay? Now that you know how to round or correct numbers to one significant figure, you just have to put them here. So in this case, it's going to be 20 minus 2 to the second power over 800 times 0.05. So this is just 20 minus 4 over, and observe that this multiplication, you can apply this idea, and the idea is that if you move this decimal to the left, so you can move this decimal to the right. So if I move twice decimals to the left, so I can move to the right the other number. So this is kind of the same of 8 times 5. So it's going to be 40. And 20 minus 4 is 16 over 40. I can simplify divided by 4. So I'm going to divide by 4. Divide by 4 is going to be 4 over 10. And now I can divide by 2. Okay, actually I can divide by 8, right? 2 over 5. So I got 2/5. 2/5 is just 0.4. So the estimation of the number correcting each number in the calculation to one significant figure is going to be 0.4. Let's go to another exercise. I don't know if the chat is working. Let's see if the chat is working. Hello. Yes, it's working. Okay, everybody. Now we're going to see this one. This is about upper bounds and lower bounds. We're going to do it by using upper bounds and lower bounds. It says Niha has a piece of ribbon of length 23 centimeters, correct to the nearest centimeter. From this ribbon, she cuts off a piece of width length 87 millimeters, correct to the nearest millimeter. Work out the lower bound and the upper bound for the length of the remaining ribbon. Give your answer in centimeters. Okay, so we're going to work out the lower bound and the upper bound of the length. What you need to understand about upper bounds and lower bounds, when you measure something, when you have a measurement, you actually have an interval in which this measurement is valid, because all measurements have a mistake or an error. When you measure something, you always you're going to have an error inside. So what we're doing when we measure any distance or any time or any mass, we have an error. So in this case, for example, you have this length and you measure it with a ruler and you say 5 centimeters. But we don't know if it's exactly 5 centimeters because there maybe when you observe it, it's move a little bit from the 5 centimeters. Why 27 rounds to 20? Okay, I have this question. Why 27 rounds to 20? Let's see. Because it says to one significant figure. Let's go. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta move. These 27 rounds to one significant figure. You have 27. One significant figure means this significant figure. But this significant figure is the 10th place. As this is the 10th place, so you should round it 27 to the 10th place. 27 rounded to... Oh, sorry, it's not 27, it's 30. Thank you, it's 30. Oh my god, what a mess. Yes, you're right, it's 30. Oh my god, that's what happens when you do things quickly. Yes, it's 30, let's correct it right now. Quickly. Okay, you're right. This is 30. So 30 minus 4, 26. 26 divided by 2, 13. 13 over 40. That would be the answer. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question. And now I need to do 13 over 4. But let me see if I didn't make another mistake. 30 minus 4, 26. No, it's correct. 1, 3, and 40. 40 divided 20. 40 divided 2 is 20. Okay. Thank you, mister. So 13 divided 2 is going to be 6.5, but it's divided 20, it's going to be 0.65. Yes, indeed, 0.65. This will be the estimation. Now it's corrected. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for notice when I made a mistake. Sometimes we make mistakes and we don't notice. Now, I was talking about the upper bound and the lower bound. Upper bound and the lower bound. So imagine this 23 centimeters, the distance of 23 centimeters. So you can imagine like the ruler. And here is 23 centimeters. Here is 22 centimeters, and here is 24 centimeters. Okay? And it means, okay, this is not kind in the middle. And it means that this measurement of 23 centimeters actually is between these measurements. So all this interval that is here is going to be 23 centimeters. This is the measurement. We don't know in which place it is, so we round it to 23. This number here is going to be 22.5, and this number here is going to be 23.4. So here, what you're having is the lower bound of the number and the upper bound of the number. This is the lower bound, and this is the upper bound of the number. And then the other number is 87 millimeters. So I'm going to put it in millimeters here. 87 millimeters. So here will be 86 millimeters, 88 millimeters. So the lower bound of the number is here, and the upper bound of the number is here. So this is going to be 87.5, and here 86.5, 86.5, and here 87.5. Okay, and now, so this will be the lower bound. This is going to be the lower bound, and this is going to be the upper bound. Now you need to find the answer. It says from this ribbon she cuts off a piece of this length. So we're cutting a piece. So it means that we're performing a subtraction. So as you're going to perform a subtraction, you need to find the lower bound and the upper bound of this subtraction. But what means? It means that we have to find the lower bound between these numbers and the upper bound between these numbers, these intervals that are here. If I'm going to subtract the numbers that are from here to here to the numbers that are from here to here, so I need to find the lower bound and the upper bound. And how to do that? the upper bound is going to be the highest number you can measure, 23.4, minus the lowest number you can measure here, 86.5 millimeters. So that will be the upper bound. So the upper bound is going to be 23.4 centimeters minus 86.5 millimeters. Now, obviously, these cannot be subtracted if they are not in the same unit. So I need to convert from millimeters to centimeters by divided by 10. So I'm going to divide by 10. 23.4 centimeters minus 8.65 centimeters. Now I just need to subtract these numbers. I'm going to subtract it here quickly. So let's subtract. 10 minus 5 is 5. 13 minus 6 is 7. 12 minus 8 is 4. And this is 14. I'm just going to check. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1, 7 and 6, 13. 1, 14. 8 and 4, 12. And 1, 13. 1, 1. Okay, 14.75. So the upper bound is going to be 14.75 centimeters. Now the lower bound, what's going to be the lower bound? So I'm going to subtract from the lowest point here. I'm going to subtract the highest. And I'm going to get the lower bound, the smallest number I can get from these intervals. The lowest from this point, from the 23 centimeters to the highest from the 87 millimeters. So the lower bound is going to be 22.5 centimeters minus 87.5. Sorry, 0.4, not 0.5. 0.4 millimeters. This is 4. This should be 4 because if I got 87.5, I'm gonna round to 88. Okay, 87.4. Now, so I'm just going to subtract. Okay, there's another question. Go with your question. Meanwhile, I do the subtraction here. 22.5. Remember, divide by 10, so 22.5 centimeters minus 8.74 millimeters. So I'm just going to subtract these two. 8.74 millimeters. 10 minus 4, 6. 14 minus 7, 7. 11 minus 8, 3. 1. 6 plus 4, 10. 7 and 15. 8 and 3 plus 1, 12. Okay. Okay. So 13.76 centimeters. That will be the lower and the upper bound. Okay, I'm waiting for another question. Yes, write it. Write your question. And this is how you can get the upper and lower bounds of your number. The reason why the lower bounds and the greater bounds should be the upper bound of one with the lower bound of the other is because if you subtract the highest value here with the lowest value here, you're gonna get the highest value of the subtraction of all the intervals. So if you take, for example, you subtract 23.4 minus 87.4, then 23.4 minus 87, minus 87.3, minus 86.5. The lowest number, the highest number you're gonna get is the one that is the upper bound of the first minus the lower bound of the number you're subtracting to. The same thing with the lower bound. If you take the subtraction of all the possible numbers, let's say that you take 23 minus 87, 23 minus 86.5. 23 minus 22 minus 87.4. 22.5 minus 87. 22.5 minus 87.5. The lowest number you're gonna get is the subtraction of the lower bound and the upper bound. This is why you did like this cross subtraction. Got it? Hey, I put the answers and you cannot see the answers here. Okay, now you can see the answers. So the answers are going to be here. 30.76, 14.75. Okay, I got time for one more question. I haven't done this question, so if I don't know, give me a break. It says, at a football match, there are 29,800 people. Yes, no problem. Correct to the nearest 100. Okay, it's corrected to the nearest 100. At the end of the football match, the people live at a rate of 400 people per minute. The people live at a rate of 400 people per minute. Okay, correct to the nearest 50 people. Calculate the lower bound of the number of minutes it takes for all people to live. Calculate the lower bound for the number of minutes it takes for all the people to live. Okay, so we need to think in the same way. In the same way we need to think. If you want to calculate the time it takes to live, let's forget the correction to the nearest 100 or to the nearest 50. Just focus on, if I ask to find out, so if I ask to find out the time that it's gonna take me to know when 29,800 people will living at a rate of 400 people per minute, so I just need to do a division. So the time is going to be just the number of people, 29,800, divided 400 people. Okay, this is the main idea. This is the division that you have to perform. But it's asking the lower bound. And the lower bound means the lowest number of people possible, taking into account that it is corrected to the nearest 100. The lowest number of people possible. This is the idea. You have to think how you get the lowest number of people possible. From which values? So it says that you have 29,800 people corrected to the nearest 100. So it means nearest 100. You need to imagine that this is like in a ruler in which the next value is to the nearest 100. 29,700 people and 29,900 people. This is corrected to the nearest 100. To the nearest 100. Now, as is corrected to the nearest 100 means that our boundary, I'm going to put the boundary, it's here and here. So in this case will be 29,750 and 29,840. So this is the interval of 29,800 people. We have the lower bound and the upper bound. Now, the other. So in the other we have 400 people per minute. 400 people per minute. This is people. 400 people per minute corrected to the nearest 50. Corrected to the nearest 50. What means corrected to the nearest 50? So this is people per minute. Corrected to the nearest 50 means that here in my ruler is 450 and on the other side is 350. This is corrected to the nearest 50. So what means? That my lower bound is going to be the number that is here, and my upper bound is the number that is here. So in this case, my lower bound is going to be 375, and my lower bound is going to be 420. I'm going to put 25. I'm going to put 24. Because if I put it in 425, maybe I can correct it to 450. Now, what means now? What we're going to do now? What we're going to do now is to find out from all the numbers that I got here, dividing by all the numbers that I can divide here, what's gonna give me the lowest bound, the lowest value. And you have to think in terms of division. How do you make a division a smaller number? So for example, in numerator, if I got a division, any division, how can I make the division smaller or shorter changing only the denominator? So if I only the numerator, if I only change the numerator, the less the numerator, so the less the division. So it means that if I use the lower bound of my numerator, I'm gonna get the lowest division possible. So in this case, I'm going to use 29,750 over. Now focus on the denominator. If you use the denominator, what should be the lowest value? No, sorry, not the lowest value. What should be what should be the value that I should put here to make the denominator to be the lowest possible? So the lowest possible. If the denominator increases, the whole division decreases. So the highest number I can use here is the number I'm going to divide. In this case, 425. So just think in terms of the operations. In terms of the operations, if I decrease the numerator, I decrease the quotient of the division. So I'm going to put in, as I'm using lower bounds and upper bounds, I'm going to put the lowest number possible. And if I increase the denominator, so I need to divide, I need to get the if I increase the denominator, I'm going to decrease the quotient. So the highest the numerator, the lowest the quotient. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to divide these numbers. Just because of time, I'm going to use calculator. But remember that in IGCSE exams, in a great part of the IGCSE exams, you can use a calculator. You cannot use a graphic display calculator, but you can use a calculator. So let's use it. 29,750 divided 425. So it's going to be 70. Okay, I can divide by 424, but when I round the number, it's gonna give me the same number. Why the upper bound of 29,800 is 29,840 and no 8,049? Because the number is rounded. In this case, the number is rounded. As the number is rounded, I don't need to round this number. I don't need to put here 9 because it's not possible for me to see this difference. It's possible to me to observe the difference in the next decimal, in the next place value, not in the next, just the consecutive next place. Always use the next consecutive place value, not all the place values. Okay, because in this way of thinking, so I could tell you, so why is not 29,849,99999.99999? Okay, so just the next, you just need the next. If you divide this number by 424 or 425, at the end of the day, you need to, I don't know if you understand the answer of the question you put in the chat. 425 or 424, there's not going to be a significant difference because you have to round the answer. You have to round the answer to the nearest, in this case, as we're using 100 people or 50 people, so you need to round it to the nearest tenth at least. So this is gonna give me 70, the division. So it's gonna take, the lower bound is going to be 70 minutes. Okay, everybody, and this is how you can work. Today we just work on operations, rounding, using significant figures, using lower bounds and upper bounds. I suggest you to review this question. I'm gonna leave it here for a minute so you can observe it and write in comments of this video the answers. What did you get? What is the upper bound? If at a cricket match there are 27,500 people, correct to the nearest 100, and you need to calculate the upper bound for the difference between the number of people at the football match and at the cricket match. You need to find the upper bound. So I leave you here. I hope that this video helps you for your studies for the IGCSE, and that with this information you can be more prepared working with upper bounds and lower bounds for your exams. Any question, just need to write there, need to send me any message, and I will be eager to answer your questions. Bye bye, see you, have a nice day.